All right. So before today's episode, I just want to make very clear to the listeners that this episode, no matter what you hear over the next however long, no matter how it seems, this episode was Ethan's idea. You're tall, but I'm standing in front of you.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to You're Tall, but I'm Standing in Front of You, the podcast where two friends circling the drain of academia examine the cultural detritus of the 20th century. I'm Devin.
I'm Ethan.
How's it going, buddy?
Things continue to be bad.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy January 6th.
Happy January 6th.
Anniversary of the day I watched Tenet at noon and had to pause it 15 minutes in. So we watched a movie today. Ethan, tell the folks what we watched.
It's an event. This was an event. We've all been told for years that Zack Snyder's not Star Wars was going to be coming out. It was going to change the game, much as his other films have. And a few things happened. They had to change it to a two-parter. It cost $160 million.
Also releasing an extended cut.
Yeah.
Like soon. Like the day before they released the one that's out now, they were like, oh, also like the Snyder cut of this is also coming out.
Is that going to just be a thing now with Zack Snyder films? Is there's just going to be a Snyder cut for every one of them?
I guess you just have to preemptively so that you don't get death threats before the film's even made. They should just be like, just so it's going to come out, and then a Snyder... every film should actually have a Snyder cut. There should be a Snyder cut of Killers of the Rebel Moon. They should go back and do a
Killers
Snyder
of the
cut.
Rebel Moon. I love it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird movie. It's a Netflix movie. Ethan, why did you want to do this exactly?
That's a good question. That's a fair question. And if I could go back in time and talk to myself, who knows what conversation we would be having today. But at the time, we had been doing the Star Wars holiday special. So Star Wars was on the mind. And, as we talked about last time, Star Wars is bad.
Yes.
It's almost the entirety of Star Wars is bad. So it's Rebel Moon's
99.9%. People remember Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. They don't remember Mr. Bones and Burlap Flip or whatever the fuck the bunny people,
Yeah.
That's mostly what Star Wars is. And so in that sense, Rebel Moon is actually and we'll talk about this the context of it, but despite the fact that it was supposed to be a Star Wars movie and technically isn't, it really does continue the Star Wars tradition of not being very good.
Yeah. And I anticipated that. I figured it was not going to be good, but given our conversation around Star Wars and how it was not good, I'm like, well, we'll watch this. It won't be good, but it'll be a fun conversation.
Yeah, and so we'll see if that happens. But, just something else, Do you remember how many lightsabers the Star Wars Holiday Special had?
0.
Exactly. Do you know how many lightsabers Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire has?
2.
2. So
Yeah.
like I can't believe when those fuckers came out, I was like, man, they really just didn't rethink any of this. It's just like
yeah.
It was just like just make make fucking Darth it's like Darth Spencer, right? It's like Richard Spencer guy. He's for the fucking slain king instead of the emperor. We're not even changing the lightsabers at all. They're not even like a new color. They're like a classic lightsaber color, you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But anyway, before we get into Rebel Moon, which is like the most like didn't happen movie I've ever seen. I've watched it twice. Because I kind of put it on in the background to brush up for the pod. And it's like I've seen it like -5 times. But before we get into any of that, I think we should talk a little bit about Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Because say what you will about Zack Snyder. Say what you will about the quality of his films. I don't think anyone can deny that, like, he is an auteur.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's good. It doesn't mean he's bad. But, like, in a world where we mostly have journeyman directors, right? Or we have people who maybe could become auteurs that don't because they just immediately get sucked into the, franchise system. Like every young director, right, gets gobbled up.
Mm-hmm.
Your Colin Trevorrows and whatnot, right? Like what they might have always sucked, but they're always just making IP and stuff, and they don't have a point of view. They're executing a production house's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Snyder undeniably has a point of view as a director, an incredibly distinct one. In fact, I think his movies are like immediately recognizable. Sometimes because you're like vomiting. You're just before they're faster than the speed of light. Like before you even know you're watching a Zack Snyder film, you're just like, why do I have hives breaking out all over my body? And even though a lot of what he's done have been these big DC films, right? Mm-hmm. And even though I think most people would probably say that obviously financially the DCEU was a failure and has already been abandoned in comparison to the MCU. But I think the average person would say that the MCU films are mostly better. DC did something completely different from the model that Marvel did, where they really the DCEU was Zack Snyder's vision.
Yeah.
And he didn't direct every movie. He obviously directed a lot of the big ones, but the overall aesthetic of this entire fictional universe, this entire cinematic universe was emanating from one director's vision for it.
Right.
And so even within this kind of IP franchise world we're in right now, I think he's had more of an auteurist hold than just about anyone I can think of, and again in ways that have mostly led to disaster, right? But I think it's undeniable that at minimum he is interesting. I don't think there's any way to be like, oh, this is just some trash hack off the street pumping out shitty movies. There is some kind of mind, some kind of point of view, some kind of worldview at work in this guy's filmography. So I wonder, Ethan, sort of what's your relationship with Zack Snyder? How do you feel about Zack Snyder? How do you feel about the DCEU? And maybe we can talk just a little bit about him and also try to just kind of establish what is the Zack Snyder point of view? What is the Zack Snyder aesthetic before we get into Rebel Moon and where that fits into all of this?
Oh, man. I mean, he really broke onto the scene with 300. to such an extent that then I feel like every film in the late 20 aughts was an attempt to create that aesthetic very poorly, generally.
The hyper stylized, like, so he did have the Dawn of the Dead remake before that.
Oh yeah.
Which was I think is actually a quite good movie and was a bit of a hit. But yeah, then he makes 300 was like this huge sensation, right? Makes like $400 million. Everyone's seeing it on
wow,
IMAX.
That's like Hotel Transylvania numbers right there.
And really becomes, I think is a terrible movie. I think it's also like a morally and ethically abhorrent movie. But
it was perfect for 2007.
Yeah, it's got all the Islamophobia, it's got the homophobia.
Yeah.
And we can certainly talk about homophobia with Rebel Moon today. But it has this incredibly slick and stylized visual aesthetic that is meant to sort of imitate the look of the comics.
Yeah.
And obviously this is very much like a Frank Miller kind of period of film history. Like you've got 300, you've got Sin City, those kind of like hyper stylized adult quote unquote comic book movies are the thing. So we're a couple years from 2008 when you're going to get The Dark Knight, which is obviously like completely shatters box office records. And then you also get Iron Man, which is not like is a huge hit, obviously, but is not like a Dark Knight level hit, but obviously begins what's going to become the dominant comic book franchise.
Right.
And really kind of shapes what comic book movies look like now. Right. That kind of like very sort of like blue and orange CGI aesthetic.
Yeah.
But up to this point, like Zack Snyder kind of is the guy that people are looking to as like, oh, you've figured out how to make superhero movies that are like serious movies for adults and whatnot. And what does he follow 300 up with?
Watchmen. I think I borrowed your copy of Watchmen in the lead up to that film coming out.
Like the book.
Yes.
I was like so waiting to like just jump in and be like, I never owned Watchmen on DVD.
So I borrowed your book in the lead up to that. And man, they had us in the first half, not gonna lie. This is maybe the first instance where he's like, at the very end of that film, like, I'm going to do my thing. I can do my own thing.
Watchmen's a weird one, right? Because in my opinion, one of the great all-time trailers. Like, I remember when that trailer came out and I was just like, this is going to be the best movie of all time. Like, I am so excited for this. It's going to rule. And of course you got Zack Snyder to do it.
Yeah.
Because he just cracked 300, and I'm like, I'm whatever I am, like an 18-year-old idiot. Right. And then it comes out and it sucks ass. Right. And so it's like, it's a weird movie because it's like basically like a tech demo. Like, it's just these one-to-one recreations of scenes from the comics, but with no soul connecting them. Yeah. Like, they just seem like these, like if it was like a project for a class, obviously he would get an A. But, there's that awful hallelujah sex scene. Like,
what do you mean awful?
Enduring that in a movie theater as, like, however old I was, like 20.
We got to experience that. Like our parents where it's like, where were you when JFK was assassinated?
Yeah, I think you were probably 21 at the time. I was only 20. Everyone who saw that in theaters should have become like legally of drinking age. Like, it's like doing a tour in Vietnam, and like, it's like, geez, this guy could go fight in Vietnam. This guy can watch the Watchmen sex scene, but he can't buy a drink.
Yeah. So that's famous for like recreating the graphic novel, but in a soulless way, but then just changing the ending. So I guess,
yeah, and I mean, he just changes like a or he changes like an alien to a nuclear bomb. It's like not that big a deal. I think it makes sense that he did it, but you also in this film get to, I think, the beginnings of really seeing what Zack Snyder's worldview is, though. Because I don't actually think you get it in 300. I think 300, you're really getting like Frank Miller's worldview visualized on film by Zack Snyder. Watchmen is, I think, especially in regards to superheroes, you're seeing how Zack Snyder thinks about them, which is essentially the thesis of Watchmen, which is sort of why I think he was attracted to that project, which is basically, the point that Alan Moore made when he wrote Watchmen in the 80s, that like every fucking creator from like Chris Nolan to Zack Snyder to you name it keeps like rediscovering and acting like they're a genius for thinking of, which whoever made the fucking Boys or whatever, which is just the idea that like superheroes are fascists, basically, right? Yeah. That like the idea of the superhero which is essentially the idea of solving social problems with exceptional strength and violence. Right, essentially making like U.S. military might into a person, right? Yeah, that is an inherently fascist idea,
right? And it always in a way that upholds the larger system into which the superheroes live. Also, generally seems to be the case
with Snyder. You think?
I don't know. What do you have?
Well, I think Alan Moore is more critical of the system.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about I'm talking about these films.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, so like the film version of Alan Moore you get in like The Dark Knight, in Watchmen, in The Boys, right? Is often like, even when it's trying to be critical of this, there's something about
the most they could do is like become libertarians. Like that's the extent to which they can translate Alan Moore into these films.
It does seem to always end up in a libertarian space, right?
Yeah.
Which, that is essentially what anarchism without any critique of political economy, you're going to end up a libertarian, right? Or like an anarcho-capitalist, right? Because it's just like, it becomes like, oh, I don't want to be tied down by the state, right, or whatever.
You know what I think? I'm curious what you think, because he goes on to do Man of Steel.
Yeah,
and it's like so strange. Like you have Christopher Nolan doing Batman, which makes sense because he's the smartest dumb guy, and that's what that's all you need for Batman.
Yeah, because Batman is the guy who like, his character trait is that he's a genius, but no one that writes him is a genius. So he has to live in a universe in which a dumb guy is a genius and the rest of the world is even dumber than him.
Yeah.
Which is why the Adam West Batman movie is the best Batman movie. Because he's always doing detective work and he's literally just going like, cats, cat woman. Oh my God. Like, he's just like, like it's all like puns he's solving crimes by like solving basic puns and whatnot.
And Batman should not be more than that. Now, Superman, I just like the idea to mold Superman into a Snyder-esque character. To me, I don't know how you can do that without just making a new character, essentially, which is maybe why the whole DCEU becomes such a mess.
This is sort of the inherent problem with the DCEU, right? Because the thing is, the Man of Steel depiction of Superman, or like Zack Snyder's vision of Superman, is essentially the vision of someone who would write like Watchmen, right? Like we said, like, or there's lots of parodies or pastiches of Superman by other comic book universes or just in standalone comics that explore this idea of like, okay, we've made a like Superman analog, which is just like the most powerful superhero.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but what if he was like bad, or what if he like was a little fashy or whatever, right? Like Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen is like an example of this, right? Like, and there's many others. The problem is, if you make Superman into that, like if in the actual depiction of Superman, you're kind of just like the DC universe then can't actually function.
Yeah.
Because like Superman actually needs to kind of exist to work as a character. He kind of has to exist outside of parody and pastiche. He's like so sincere, right? And he is like, in a weird way, even though they really have trouble figuring him out narratively, and Batman is obviously a lot easier to figure out narratively because he fits into just like more normal genres more easily, right? Superman is kind of like the sun that everything else revolves around, right? Yeah. It's like, and he needs to be that. And the second you're like, oh, we're making him into the critique, it's like, well, then you aren't functioning anymore because you're supposed to be the real thing that everyone else is critiquing, you know, in a weird way.
Yes.
It's like, so they kind of set themselves up from the beginning with this huge problem, which is they're essentially in Watchmen universe, but the characters are all the normal properties. And so DC basically like, and the power of DC has never been like, Marvel's always had the more kind of realistic, down to earth characters.
Yeah.
DC has always been about like the archetypes, these like, you know, big, like broad figures. And the second you kind of, if you're the one who's actually supposed to be making those movies and convincing us we're supposed to want to see them, if you think I'm not saying like there can't be a Superman movie that then we could do critique of and talk about the fascistness of it. But when the movie tries to do that itself, you know, the House of Cards just falls apart.
Oh yeah. I mean, you by having Zack Snyder direct Man of Steel, you now for the rest of time have to contend with, well, what if Superman did 9/11? And the rest of your films are just stuck in that, but you can't ever address it in a way that resolves that issue because he's Superman and he has to be Superman. So
and I want to. This is where I think you and I differ a little bit, because I want to say I love Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition.
Whereas I never saw that.
I think it's one of the 3 best Batman movies.
Wow.
I think it's contending for second best. I think it is brilliant. I love it, right? It is a great film, in my opinion.
Even Lex Luthor. You like the Lex Luthor character in that film. Jesse Eisenberg's.
Yeah. I'll go to bat for Jesse in that.
Wow. Nothing against Jesse, but like that is the stupidest character.
I like the stupidness of it, but here's the thing, though. Like that opening sequence where you see Man of Steel from the perspective of the ground and it's like 9/11, I think is brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. But where I agree, so I actually love that film. But where I agree with you is that once you've done that, you can't build like an expanded universe on that. Like it's like this needs to be, the film needs to end with like the fucking either death of Superman or the destruction of the world, or like you know, because you've kind of opened the Pandora's box of you could never go back, you could never like establish normalcy after that, you know? And so every other film kind of gets trapped in making that same Zack Snydery point over and over again. And the problem is that doesn't work for an expanded universe. That works for a standalone film, right? Like Watchmen is a standalone graphic novel, right?
Right.
If Watchmen comics were coming out continuously for like 20 years, it would be fucking boring. And I think they're probably doing that now because they're like, you know, draining every IP of everything it's worth. But you need to build a universe like the MCU does. As much as I don't love the MCU, but you do need a certain amount of optimism. You know, you need to be like, oh, we like these characters. Right.
Yes, yeah.
It's worth spending 30 films with them or whatever. And the DCEU has this Snydery point of view, which is like, no, these are gods. You have nothing to do with these people. They are completely above you. If they existed, we are nothing but ants beneath them. And the thing is, I think he's right.
Yeah.
But this is why he can't be at the head of like a successful globally successful franchise, but it's also probably part of why he has these like incredibly weird fans.
Yes, yeah.
Which maybe now we can start talking a little bit about Justice League and the Snyder Cut and that whole thing.
Sure. I also didn't watch the Snyder Cut of that, but I know you did. Like,
did you see the original?
Yes, and that was more than enough for me. But
well, so why don't can you just like tell us like the basic narrative of like what happened?
I'll do my best, and I'll say that like the idea of watching them both, I can get it from like a cinematic standpoint of like, let's see how Joss Whedon fucked this up versus what Zack Snyder had in store for us. But I guess the issue was it came out, and like all of those films, from my point of view, it was bad. But Zack Snyder had left it. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had left the film near the end because I think his daughter had committed suicide and he had to step away. So it was very sad. And then they brought in Joss Whedon, which is also bad. Like that was such a decision that they made that had repercussions.
And this is why the Joss Whedon Justice League is maybe the worst superhero movie of all time in some ways. It's not actually, but
the Zack Snyder fans, you just brought in the director of the Avengers to finish this cut of the DC Justice League film. Like, what a betrayal. That is, you know.
Well, and this is the thing, it's like there's no way for it to work, right? Because it's like not that the Zack Snyder thing was working,
just
but like
chromatically.
We said, the only way to do the Zack Snyder thing is to do it.
Yeah.
And so then they bring in Joss Whedon. He reshoots a bunch of stuff. He makes it more like brightly lit and colored. He adds all these like quips because they're trying to like copy the Marvel thing and make it less joyless. And then what you've basically done is you've given someone like an old fashioned, and then you've like dumped a bunch of fruit punch into it. And it's like some people like old fashions, some people like fruit punch. Nobody wants that.
No, it's like watching, you see those old clips of like Hitler in the Alps when he's acting like a little goofy, and you're like, I don't like this. I don't need to see like Hitler laid back, relaxing in his like alpine retreat.
Well, because we've literally established in this universe that Superman did 9/11. And now we're like, oh, but he has jokes as well. Which, you know, and like, we don't joke about 9/11 on this podcast. And you know, it's not funny for the physical embodiment of 9/11 to joke about anything. And then, of course, this leads to this very toxic social media campaign by Zack Snyder fans to get the so-called Snyder Cut released, which you haven't seen. I have seen. I watched it before the Joss Whedon one.
Wow, okay.
It is much better. I would not say it's good, but I mean, the Joss Whedon one is literally incoherent. And there is some stuff in the Snyder Cut that is kind of cool. Like, but the Zack Snyder Justice League, I think, is an important film for us to think in regards to Rebel Moon, because you really see in this one, and you see it in Batman v Superman 2, part of what his like narrative style is as well, not just like, so we'll talk about his visual aesthetics, right? Slow motion, weird lens flares. Like, there are many shots in Rebel Moon that are like intentionally out of focus for some reason. You know, wide angle lenses, all this kind of stuff. He loves slow motion, right? The Flash scenes in the DC movies, which like go on and on, right? This like kind of operatic tone, right? But he also like famously, like, he does not want to do like the MCU thing of like gradually introducing characters and then having them team up. He wants to have one movie in which all of the team people show up. Like,
is that your interpretation? Because my interpretation was that DC realized pretty quickly, like, oh shit, we didn't do what Marvel did, And now we need to just suddenly introduce everyone and do our Avengers film because we don't have time to do their individual films now because we fucked up.
I mean, I don't know the whole causes about it, but I think he does a similar thing in Rebel Moon too, where he's just like, we are meeting these characters that have these backstories, and you're not getting the backstory right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's like, Aquaman's introduction in the DCEU is like Batman watching him on a television screen in Batman v Superman, and like Wonder Woman just like shows up in that movie, and then you get the Wonder Woman movie, right? Like He likes these movies where there's these very complex sets of people, and in a weird way, it's more like reading a comic book than an MCU film is.
Yeah. The only way that he knows how to do backstory is flashbacks. You can't have an origin story film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, Watchmen has a similar structure too, right? It's like you're entering into the universe like in media res, so to speak. And with that, maybe we can start to get into Rebel Moon, because like he did like a zombie movie since then. I didn't see it. Did you see Army of the Dead?
I didn't.
But Rebel Moon kind of seems like it's like
didn't they have to hilariously edit in Tig Notaro for like one of the actors? Something problematic happened, so they had to replace him with Tig Notaro, and so every scene she's in is like not with the rest of the cast.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Sexual misconduct allegations were made against cast member Chris D'Elia, and he was replaced by Tig Notaro using green screens and CGI.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually do remember this, because this guy, I only knew who he was because he's on a season of the show You, in which he also plays a comedian that gets like canceled for sexual assault, like serial sexual assault. And then like after that, the real story came out that he like was that.
Jesus. Okay.
So that's it's interesting because that's kind of like, it's in the tradition of like Henry Cavill's mustache in Batman v Superman that they had to CGI out. So this is also like a consistent part of the Zack Snyder oeuvre.
Yeah.
But now he has Rebel Moon, right? And it kind of feels like, to me, Rebel Moon is supposed to be his like comeback film, kind of, right? Because it's like he had to go away because of the tragic events in his life. The DCEU fell apart, right? His visions for that will not be completed. The Snyder Cut did come out, but like now James Gunn is in charge of the much more easily named DCU that will start at some point, and I'm sure will be incredibly successful.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, Zack Snyder's no longer tied down with the DCEU. Now he's gonna come to us with his vision, right? His personal vision again, with this film that was supposed to be a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But they didn't want that. So essentially he remakes it as an original property. And it's called Rebel Moon. And then before it came out, I think they like changed the name at the last minute to Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. So it already has like, another thing about the Zack Snyder universe is like there have to be like all these confusing versions of things. You're never sure what you're supposed to watch. But why don't we finally get into talking a little bit about Rebel Moon itself?
I'm here to make you an offer. To give you a chance at redemption.
We are beyond redemption.
What about revenge? This isn't just pursuit of revolution.
I have found her. The most wanted fugitive in the known universe.
So, Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Which, did anyone ever say that?
Yeah,
Who's the Child of Fire? Is it, I assume it's Sophia Botella?
Did you miss that scene where Anthony Hopkins goes, we're on a rebel moon, and you're part one, a child of fire. You missed
Yeah,
that?
that's the other thing. What was the moon?
I asked Katie, what is this, the rebel moon? This was a common conversation I was having with my wife as we were watching this. Is this the rebel moon? Are they going to go to a rebel moon? Does every SEC team get a different moon? So like, this is the rebel moon. This is the Bulldogs moon. So I was confused, but I decided partway through the film that the first planet they were on is the rebel moon.
Okay, I think that the place they are at, that has the like final battle is a moon.
Okay.
But this is the thing. This is the most Star Wars thing about it is confusion over whether you're on a moon or a planet. As we talked about last episode, is classic Star Wars shit.
Yeah. Also, just like the naming conventions, like you're watching Attack of the Clones, and the whole film, you're like, when are the clones gonna attack? So Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. I'd like to commend Zack Snyder for clearly reading some Joseph Campbell before embarking upon creating this film, because I'm going to do my best to talk through this plot, but it really seemed to me like someone had just Googled hero's journey, and then like this film is composed of bits that fit into these pieces, but coherently do not a film make.
Do you know what it felt like to me?
What?
It felt like I was watching like a YouTube video that was the compilation of all the cutscenes for a video game, but like it's missing like the story that's happening, that's not like a CGI cutscene, like the real time stuff. And my brain was literally, I could feel my brain not paying attention in the exact way that I don't pay attention to bad video game cutscenes. Not the way I don't pay attention to bad movies. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a different feeling in the brain,
Yes.
Like I kept expecting to be like reaching for a controller.
Absolutely. So let's do the damn thing. Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire. It starts on a moon called Welt, which, as we all know, is German for world. So think about that. Immediately, so there's some farmers, and immediately
and they're like Norse coded or like whatever.
Yeah.
It's like this, like it's like fucking Skyrim, kind of shit. And fucking what's his name?
Corey Stoll,
bald guy. Corey Stoll. Corey Stoll playing the like leader. Oh, it's rough. He's trying to do this like this accent.
Let's just from the outset say every accent in this film is the worst accent I've ever heard.
Yeah, like Charlie Hunnam is doing like a Irish accent.
Yeah, he is
for some reason.
Yes.
It's like Anthony Hopkins. Thank God they just like have talk like Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. My goodness. So we're on what may or may not be the Rebel Moon.
You have convinced me. Now that I'm seeing this is a moon, but I do think it's an aspirational name. I think like by the end of part 2, it will have become the Rebel Moon, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
Because currently there is a rebel on this moon.
Yeah, but I don't think itself isn't really rebelling.
Yeah, exactly. So immediately a big old ship appears. I should say the very beginning of the film is like a exposition. They love to just do plot like exposition throughout this film.
And for unclear reasons, the exposition is also delivered by Anthony Hopkins, who also voices one of the droids. Unclear if there will eventually be a diegetic explanation for that or not.
I've always assumed that he's going to end up being the narrator that is telling this story, but I don't know. We'll see. He doesn't really do anything in the film. So there's a moon, the Rebel Moon. The Imperium shows up. We don't need to explain who they are. They're obviously the bad guys. They land and they're like, we need grain. And the farmers are like, shit, we sold a bunch of our grain to these rebels. Well, maybe it is a rebel moon. And they're going to find out that we did that. And so the village elder, played by Corey Stoll, which is just very hilarious. He's like, oh, we don't have any grain. But then this other guy, Gunner, which I have a lot to say about Gunner.
One of the two Dario Naharises that are in
we
this
get
movie.
both Dario Naharises. Yeah, I think how's his name pronounced? Michel Huisman. He's Dutch.
Dude, Dutch is a fake ass language. I have no idea.
So he's like, well, maybe we could spare you some. And so the bad guy, who I guess I should have mentioned is played by the other Dario Naharis. He's the bad guy that lands, and he's an admiral named Atticus Noble.
Do you want to know what Dutch for Rebel Moon is?
Please tell me.
Rebellen Man. It's a fucking fake language. You could put anything in this.
What's the one famous one? The newspaper headline. It's like, Hitler is the dude. This is so fake. Okay. So anyways, Dario Naharis 1 lands and is he kills the village elder. He's like, this guy sucks.
He uses like a shillelagh kind of thing, and he likes to slow motion one shot people to the head with it. He also, we should say, he's very Richard Spencer coded.
Yeah,
he's like a Dan. It's actually kind of one of the weirder parts, like, because there are parts of the movie where he's literally just wearing like a shirt and tie.
Yeah,
and it looks like very incongruous with the aesthetics of the rest of the movie. Like when he's wearing his full Imperial uniform, it looks a little more Star Warsy, but sometimes he's literally wearing like a white button down with rolled up sleeves and like a skinny black tie, and he looks like he's in the fucking Boondock Saints or something. And he has a very Nazi haircut. So like Zack Snyder, again, being very subtle about his thoughts about fascism.
Yeah, exactly. So they kill the village elder, and he's like, how long to make all this grain? We're going to take all your grain. The guy's like, I need 9 weeks. He's like, we'll be back in 10 weeks. So now they're in trouble. They leave behind some dudes, some soldiers, and the one person in the village who is a rebel, Cora, also known as Arthaleus, but she's going by Cora. They're gonna like rape one of the village people, so she kills all the soldiers.
Yeah, and so this also reveals like she's very powerful. Again, we get a lot of slow-mo.
Yeah.
There is a lot of like, and just to be clear, there's like always just like half the time there's just like a flare in the middle of the frame. Like a lens flare. And I think it's like a CGI lens flare. It's like made, and then like there's all these weird like shots that are like out of focus. They're literally blurry, and they're like intentionally blurry. And he's apparently going for some kind of like retro look, he said, like in some interview, but like I don't know if that's even accurate. I don't know if things ever looked like that exactly, but it's very like Snyderian stylized shit. And
if at this point you're saying these guys are doing a bad job summarizing this movie, what's going on? No, we're not. We're doing quite a good job, actually. So just keep that in mind. The other character that I'll mention is the Anthony Hopkins robot.
Yeah.
And maybe they're going to do more with this in part 2. But the whole idea is like all the robots stopped doing violence after the king was killed, I guess is the thing.
So like all that happens with him is you see the bad guys being mean to him. And then like at the very end of the movie, like we haven't seen him the entire time, and then we get a like shot of him, and he's like walking through the fields of the Rebel Moon wearing like deer antlers on his head and like flowers. And I guess the vibe is that like he's gone native a little bit, and he's like I guess there's going to be more with him in part 2, and he's going to like join the rebellion as well, is the vibe. But again, like Zack Snyder's like, I'm not going to bother to actually show that in my movie.
No. So now that they know the bad guys are coming back, but also they killed these soldiers, they're like, shit, this is going to be bad. Also, I guess it's now revealed that Cora is Arthaleus because she went and did her badass action scene and killed all the soldiers. Except I think they leave one guy alive who's like the nice soldier.
Yeah, there's
Don't worry
this is
about
another character like
He's just
nothing really
disappears.
happens with, but I guess he'll probably be a part of part 2. But it's like the soldier with a conscience who, you know, doesn't support rape.
Yes. And so now that we have the scene, immediately it's weird. The editing is so bad on this film. It's so bad. I remember this because immediately after the fight scene, it cuts to the one old guy who had taken in Cora, and he hands her like her gun that he had found. And he's like, I've been saving this. Go take it. It's your fancy gun. And then they leave. They go on their adventure to build their crew.
You got to put a party together. It's like we're in like an RPG, basically.
And I want to speak to this, so pocket that, because I have an issue with the D&D party that they end up creating.
Oh, good to know.
But the entire rest of the film is essentially them putting this crew together before the final battle. So I don't know how much we need to go into it. They go to one of these towns to try and find this disgraced general. And as they're getting information, they're attacked. And then one guy helps them and joins them.
This scene I would like to talk about a little bit, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because, and then I think the rest we can yada yada, but this scene is such a riff on the tavern scene in Star Wars.
Yes.
You know, it's like you walk in, there's music, there's this, you know, cornucopia of characters and species and stuff. And it's like, and I think this is what Zack Snyder likes. Like, the thing we kind of talked about last time of like the lived-inness of Star Wars, like not everything is explained. But the thing about Star Wars is it pairs that with like a quite simple narrative that like makes sense. Whereas like with Snyder, it's like every element is like it's like I know exactly who Luke is as like a person, you know?
So this was the exact game that my wife and I played as we were watching the film, which I liked to call Luke, Leia, or Han Solo. And throughout the film, we were trying to figure out who is Luke Skywalker, who is Princess Leia, and who is Han Solo. And as soon as that dude showed up, Charlie Hunnam, as soon as he showed up, I'm like, oh, that's Han Solo. He literally has a Millennium Falcon with it.
He has the ship, and he's like the roguish thief guy. And you're like, okay, we've got our Han Solo, and then Cora is clearly our Luke, and Gunnar.
Well, see, I thought so at first, but the thing about Luke, especially in the first film, is that he's like sucks.
That's true.
A hero's journey needs to be.
Is Cora Obi-Wan?
So let's pocket this because we can talk about this because I have some issues, but like she off the bat is OP.
But she is kind of like the perfect Zack Snyder protagonist, though, because she already knows everything and has all the backstory that she's withholding from us. So it's like she's like Zack Snyder being like, fuck you, I'm not going to explain any of this.
And I do have an answer for who Luke is in this film, but let's finish the plot summary first.
Okay.
They go and meet more people. They get the guy who flies the eagle next, the hippogriff.
Yeah, there's like a beast master for the party, basically.
Yeah.
And like it's really weird. They're just like, hey, we want to bring this guy with us, and like he's like a slave, and his owner is like, I like
his owner is like David Crosby. Let's just be upfront about this.
And he's like, if he can tame this fucking like hippogriff, I'll set him free. And then he does, and then the hippogriff like eats David Crosby.
Yeah. So now they have that guy.
Yeah.
Who's also from
I guess he used to be a prince or something. He's like a disgraced monarch.
Something like that, yeah.
It's another thing that Zack Snyder has no interest in explaining to us. And also, this guy apparently doesn't need to wear a shirt, even though everyone else is wearing clothes.
Right.
No like
this is not world building. Just being like, how many things can we have? We got to have like this other disgraced prince, this whole dynasty thing. We have to have hippogriffs in our film. We have to have spider ladies. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? That's the problem with the world part. Because the thing about like Star Wars is you do have these vague pieces, but it feels like there's a coherent world, even if it hasn't been explained to you. You're like, this seems like of a piece, and that's why it works, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, I'm like, this feels like a like Space Jam universe. Like, there's just like, it's like Game Master Anthony, where like it's like all the characters from every game and movie coming together for a big party. So it's like, wait, how does like the disgraced slave prince Beastmaster exist in the same universe as like Richard Spencer, who exists in the same universe as we'll talk about Nemesis in a sec, the cyborg Jedi woman.
But this is the thing where it could work. If this was Star Wars 1977, they would have been like, Tarak, he tamed the hippogriffs of Andak 4. And that'd be it. You move on. And you just be like, oh, okay. We don't need to see. We don't need that explained.
Imagine if, when you're watching the original Star Wars and then Han says like how his ship did the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, and then there was a hard cut and the entirety of Solo, a Star Wars story played.
Yes.
And then we cut back to like, it's like he doesn't want to explain anything, but he also loves these like indulgent scenes and these flashbacks. Mm-hmm. It's this weird, like, it's like someone telling you a story they like haven't written yet, like if someone has an idea and then they keep having to backtrack and be like, oh, and so that guy had previously been betrayed by so-and-so, and so that's why he's that,
just leave it to the imagination. It's one of the great things, like in Star Wars in 1977, when Obi-Wan is like, I served with your father in the Clone Wars. That was great. When you think about that in addition to the prequels, you're like, all right. So do less, please do less. They get the Beastmaster guy, and then they go to hire Nemesis,
and so here's how we get to the Nemesis scene, though.
Oh, please.
There's just, again, a hard cut to like a CGI Spider Woman alien, like being threatening and having these children she wants to eat.
Yes. I guess
and then this woman shows up to stop her and reveals she has like 2 lightsabers that must be different enough that Zack Snyder's not going to get sued.
Yes. She has 2 lightsabers. She kills the spider lady who had kidnapped a kid. And I think the idea was like all the pollution on the planet.
It's a mining planet.
Yeah, I can't bear offspring as my spider offspring, so I'm going to kill this kid. Again, like we don't need all of this for 5 minutes in your film, because you can't do anything good with it in 5 minutes. So it's more backstory with.
Yeah, I mean, Nemesis should have been just fucking like sitting in the tavern.
Yes, we shouldn't see her do anything until she has to do something.
Yeah. Like, but yeah, so she's like a Jedi, basically, like a cyborg Jedi.
Yeah.
Dual red lightsaber wielding.
Our first introduction to her shouldn't be her using her otherworldly powers to like murder a like oppressed Spider Woman whose entire planet has been destroyed.
The Spider Woman has like a good point, to be honest. Maybe she's, maybe we could talk about like if she's going about it in the right way, but like,
yeah. And then like all we get is like we get some line from Nemesis afterwards, like, don't be happy that I killed her because she was actually pretty cool and correct in what she was doing. But let's move on. So what the
fuck are you? So you have no ethics?
Like you killed her though. You're the one that did it. So anyhow, they get her.
Wow. That was amazing.
Do not celebrate this. There is no honor in this. This could easily be any of you lying here in the gutter of some forgotten world. In the name of revenge. You would do well to remember that.
And then they go, I think they just go mop up the general, right?
Yeah, the one guy we've heard referenced before, General Titus, who's like a disgraced, like drunken gladiator now, and they like pour some water on him, and they're like, "Come on."
They introduce him like huddled up in like a street corner wearing like beggar's clothes almost, and then they wash him off, and he's just like, this man is working out so many hours of every day.
Yeah.
Anyhow, they get him. They have their crew.
Unclear to me what role he plays in the party. I guess he's like a paladin or
well,
like
we'll
a
get to it.
tank.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I almost forgot about Devra Bloodaxe. They go to one last spot, which is the rebels they'd originally sold their grain
so these
to.
are people we've heard about.
Right.
And it's like these siblings who are like leading the rebellion. Devra Bloodaxe and Darian Bloodaxe, who very interestingly is played by Ray Fisher, who is Cyborg in Justice League. And he's essentially playing Jason Momoa's Aquaman.
Yeah.
Like moveset, appearance, hair, it's like Cyborg switched to the Aquaman skin.
Yeah. They really should call it Rebel Moons, because all the moons they go to there's rebels all over the place.
It's hard to keep track of moons, man.
Yeah. So they're like, you should help us because we're sort of in this mess because we sold our grain to you. And Devra isn't into it, but Darian Bloodaxe is like, okay, I'll bring a crew and we'll come and help you do this. So they go off.
Yeah, and then there's a big with this. We can't do this anymore.
There's a fight.
There's a big fight. Kai turns out to be a traitor,
which I called. It's the most obvious reveal.
Gunner has like a hero moment and kills Kai. And then there's just a big fight. Darian sacrifices himself, like this character we've all known and loved for so long. He does a big like Aquaman jump into the air.
Yeah.
He's like a dragoon in Final Fantasy. Yeah, but he misses. A bunch of shit gets destroyed. Korra wins the battle with Richard Spencer, but doesn't like finish the job. Oh, we also find out at some point that Korra was like the most like deadly soldier in the like King's army. But then like her boyfriend died, that other character we all knew and loved from that time he was in a montage sequence. But then it of course turns out that Richard Spencer survived, and like we finally meet like I guess the big bad whose name is Belisarius, and they like fix Richard Spencer, and like he's like, go get him, which I actually was surprised by because I figured like, okay, Richard Spencer is like the sub boss, and so he'll die at the end of this movie, and then we'll get the big bad for movie 2. But they're not ready to let him go.
Is he
always confirm the kill?
Is he a cyborg?
It's a little unclear.
I don't know if that's a reveal or not. But they do.
Seems like they've got weird technology. Yeah.
Well, he has like inside his like scalp is metal that they plug him into the.
It kind of seems like that might be just like a thing, like that people have. Right. I don't know. Like again, none of this is explained.
Right.
But there are these like, and a way they kill people in this world for some reason is they like put them into like a weird like. It's like they're being strapped on a table, but the table is like vertical. And then there's like a hole in the back of their head, and you like stick a knife thing in, which is all very unclear why this is necessary. Unless maybe that's how you have to kill the cyborg people. But they do it for non-cyborg people too. I don't know. But that's how the movie ends. And that's Rebel Moon. Is there anything we missed that's important?
I mean, I would just say that the big bad is introduced there at the end, connecting to the Admiral. Maybe I can just plug in the line that he says, because it's the worst dialogue that I've maybe ever. He's like, you think that I'm gonna be happy with you? You brought together the greatest warrior in military history. the most badass general that has ever been. He just like the way he phrases it is just so bad.
Tell me, Commander, did you think that this would be good news? That my daughter Artheleus, one of the most dangerous and decorated warriors in the history of armed conflict, is now part of a blossoming insurgency? I'm supposed to be happy that she's joined forces with the genius, battlefield commander General Titus.
So she is within our grasp. Let me bring you her head.
Yeah, so that's Rebel Moon. So
can I say one other thing about Belisarius when he first shows up in the flashbacks is that I thought for a moment that he was played by John Mulaney. And so the rest of the film, I just kept imagining John Mulaney as the big bad. It's like, I am a general. That was a...
I mean, I think it would actually be much more interesting, right? This is the thing, like, that's actually a much more... This is what's so boring about the Zack Snyder vision of, like, power is he can only imagine it, like, power to him is like the Nazis. Like, evil is like the Nazi. Like, he doesn't have any ability to be like, oh yeah, like power can actually materialize in ways that is not just like really obvious state oppression, and it's more complicated and it's linked to political economy. Like for a movie that starts with like shit about like grain and like the production of grain, it has no sense of political economy. Not that Star Wars does either, but this is part of what's uncanny about Rebel Moon is it's like we're mashing up Star Wars with like these kind of like too on the nose political allegories, and it's not great.
Rebel Moon.
So what were your thoughts on this party that they've assembled? You seem to you said you had some
it's so
concerns.
Listen, everyone showed up playing a tank. You can't have an entire party made of tanks, but every single, it's like they created their characters before like the D&D night, but didn't communicate with one another. And they all showed up as fucking tanks. All of them are super ripped. They're extremely skilled. I guess the only difference is like Korra has a gun and Nemesis has two lightsabers, but they're all
wouldn't say... So
you don't have a healer.
And Korra, I don't think are tanks. I think they are like DPS.
But
like
they're able to
second.
tank. She took on like a whole squad and was like body checking them. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it is like everyone's like everyone wants to be a melee person, right?
Yeah.
Gunner, I guess, doesn't really have a class. Gunner's like when you have like the NPC tagging along. Maybe he could become, but yeah, it's not a very diverse party. And that does, I think, really speak to Zack Snyder's worldview again, where he always wants to do these teams, but like it's a same thing in Justice League. Like every member of the Justice League team is just like the strongest fucking, like even Aquaman, it just has to be like, oh yeah, but he's just like the water version of being the strongest badass ever. And Wonder Woman is the woman version of being the strongest badass ever.
And that's why, as they keep assembling this team, I'm like, why do you need all these other? You're good. You've got a team. You don't need another brawler. You're good to go. The thing that I loved, and by that I mean I hated, is at the end of it, after the big fight, there is a line. Do you know who is essentially presented as the hero of that whole fight?
Is it like Darien for sacrificing himself, or
no? They turn to Gunner after the fight. It's like,
oh, because
thank you for saving us. He's the one like cis white dude in this entire crew that they've assembled, who's the most mediocre man to have ever existed. He has no chin. He didn't do anything. He literally hid during the fight. The one, I guess, like he turned around and killed the guy who betrayed them, and then just hid the whole fight. And after this enormous sequence in which Korra presumably kills the Admiral, and all, then they get saved. one, I think it's the disgraced general turns to Gunner is like, "You saved us, Gunner."
Well, he
like,
is
really?
the one. He is the one who, does the initial act that makes everything else possible. I guess because he's like kind of like Kai is like trying to get him to like kill Korra or whatever, and then he like turns around and kills Kai, and then the fight happens.
Right.
But yeah, it is very thumb on the scale, I think.
Yes. So I think that Gunner is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because he's the one who's just kind of like he's a farmer.
Yeah.
He gets swept up into something. He's more reluctant than Luke, but I think. But so then, like, do we have a Han and a Leia in this?
Well, our Han Solo was Kai, but the twist was that he was actually in cahoots with the baddies.
Yeah.
I maybe Korra is Princess Leia. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to give Leia just to Korra because she's a woman, but I guess she does have the element of like she's like connected to the state,
right? And she's like the rebellious in-group sort of person there.
And she is kind of like the daughter of in a sense, she's like the adopted daughter of like the evil emperor. Although, I mean, she should be like secretly siblings with Gunner. I mean, obviously it's not a 1-to-1.
Whatever. Also, Carrie Elwes as the king, we didn't even mention, but it was every time he was on there, I'm like, that's the guy from Princess Bride. It was just very silly. It just felt all of the scenes with the Imperium when they actually showed it just seemed very silly to me. Even at the end with Belisarius, I'm like, this guy is goofy. Look at that beard. He's just a goofy dude.
Yeah. Snyder has like one idea of what he thinks is cool, and he just sort of does it over and over again, And it's like, this I think is why he gets such fervent fans, because if that speaks to you, if you're the kind of person who like throws some taquitos in the microwave at 2 a.m. while you're drinking a Mountain Dew Code Red and like, maybe looking for women to harass online, I guess this is like your kind of thing. But I think and I don't know, Zack Snyder might not be as bad as his fans. I'm not sure, because I do think Zack Snyder at the end of the day thinks this might be bad somewhat. He for whatever reason, he's obsessed with these godlike figures, but he is like a little uncomfortable with their godliness and
he's a Democrat,
but like his fans seem to be people who like think they are the gods, which is essentially like the libertarian point of view is like, just let's live in the like chaos of the market, but I'm going to be the like, John Galt who ascends from that.
His whole vibe is like third way Democrats is like the whole vibe that I get from him.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
and I mean, I guess that ideology is what you have to do if you want to be like opposed to fascism without having a critique of capitalism. Like a coherent critique of capitalism is you need to create these boogeymen like Putin and like Trump, right? Not saying these people aren't substantive bad people, right? But like, you then like you support anyone else at any cost, no matter how fascistic they may be, to stop the what is actually a unit. A piece of a larger system that you have labeled as external to it, right? So like we treat Trump as if he's something that is like coming from outside our political process to infect it, and not like, and as if there is like this much more significant difference between him and Biden than there currently is. And that leads you to the position of like, saying you have to vote for Biden, even though he's like openly supporting a genocide and the murder of children, right? Like you end up at that if you think Trump is Hitler.
And this is like every Zack Snyder film, I feel like the villain is always there's no reason why the villain has anybody following them that you can seemingly understand, because they only exist as this imagery of oppression. And so, yeah. And
it's always like, how get that power? Oh, they took it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so who was, which again, it's like avoiding the question of like Russiagate, right? Is a way of avoiding the questions of like, how was Trump able to get elected? Right. Yeah. And if you think like, oh, it's just Russiagate, then you're just you've created that Putin as like the next level boss, the Belisarius to Trump's whatever the fuck Richard Spencer's name is in this movie. Atticus Noble. Yeah. Atticus Noble. What the fuck, dude? Can you imagine, like, if I was 12, I would have known Atticus Noble was like a stupid name.
Yeah. So that's one issue with Zack Snyder and pretty much all of his films. But I noticed one of the big things that stood out for me was the number of slow-mo, which is, of course, a Zack Snyder feature. Also, the cuts were very poorly edited. There's one where like Admiral Noble is getting fucked by a tentacle monster. Do you remember that?
Yeah. What the? Yeah, but that was the thing. Like, by the time I noticed it, it cuts and it's like gone.
Yeah, like it cuts him mid-sentence. He was like, "Hey," as he's getting and they cut him mid-sentence. A lot of the editing was weird, but I know one of the things that you talked about, Devin, was the focus issue in the film, also.
Yeah, so I had to look this up to try to figure out what's going on, because it's very confusing when you're watching this, because there will be these shots where just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like it'll be in focus in the middle, and then it's like almost like a circle is emanating out, and it's getting like less in focus towards the edges. Like, it's weird. It's like a weird disorienting effect, right? It's not just like it's not like when we saw Oppenheimer and it was just out of focus because the projectionists didn't know what they were doing. Which I try to remember, because I've been doing like my end of year lists, and Oppenheimer's pretty low. It doesn't make my top 10. And I do try to be like, maybe I should rewatch it like in focus, to be fair.
I guess.
But so this is from just some fucking, I don't care about giving them credit because it's some like probably AI written like bullshit listicle website. But I found this while I was trying to look up what's going on here. So to augment the film's, quote, distorted retro look, it's unclear to me if that's like ironic quotes or if they're quoting Snyder. Snyder oversaw the creation of new camera lenses. So Zack Snyder invented camera lenses so that his movie would look shitty. By combining, and I don't know anything about lenses, so I do not know what any of this means, but by combining the anamorphic element of Japanese Cineo-Vision lenses from the 60s with Sumilex and Noctilex lenses, Snyder's team was able to achieve what he considers a, quote, cool aberration effect, particularly during super wide angle shots. And like, I'm someone who loves fucking taking some element of a movie that like seems bad or seems like a mistake or is outside of the realm of what like movies are supposed to look like, and doing some galaxy brain weed philosophy to make it like how like, oh, that's actually how the movie's like mediating the contradictions of capital. And I gotta be honest, man, even I am just coming up empty here. I'm just like, what? Like, because it's not happening for any reason. It's just like random shots have it. It like doesn't. It's not like it doesn't have any kind of formal meaning.
It reminded me of when we watched Star Trek: The Motion Picture, when they had the split diopter lens. You know, where like randomly part of the screen is just out of focus, which was just a thing that they did in the 70s was the only explanation that we got. I was like, yeah, they did this in some films back then. And you're just like, but why? Why did they do this for like 3 shots in this film? So
yeah. It's incredibly weird, and it's just like Zack Snyder wants his films, it feels like, to just be these like sensory overload experiences. Like, and I will give him credit, like it's like we said at the top of the show, like nothing looks like a Zack Snyder film.
Right.
It does kind of look like Zack Snyder films like literally take place in a different world where like color and light and physics works differently. And it does maybe kind of feel like this fallen world in some way, right? Like, I don't know if he's Catholic or not, but he has major like sort of like Catholic, like we live in a fallen world. The world is like tainted. Will we ever ascend from it kind of vibes in his movies? And I guess that's kind of what he's trying to go for. He's going for that like early Star Wars aesthetic of like the dirty sci-fi, right? Like the broken shit everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I get that's the best I can do, but I'm just like, everyone's just going to watch this on Netflix and think their like TV is broken.
Yeah. I honestly thought for part of it, I was streaming it via Chromecast from my computer to my TV. And I'm just like, well, that's just the name of the game. It's just how it looks. So
yeah. But anyway, that's Rebel Moon. Do we have anything else to say? I guess we could just pass out some Steve Buscemi's.
Yeah, I think it's time to just pass out some Steve Buscemi's.
All right, Ethan, how many Steve Buscemi's?
No, you go first. I always go first with the Steve Buscemi's. I want you to give this your Steve Buscemi's.
So you got mad at me because on Letterboxd I gave this 2.5 stars, and you think that's too many?
Yes.
And stars and Steve's Buscemi are not equivalent. It's a very volatile market. The reason I gave it 2.5, I just want to be clear, is because it made me feel nothing. Like it wasn't even it wasn't bad enough that I even got passionate about it. It just kind of went over me like a wave of mist, and then it was gone. So I was trying to give it, nothingness in a sense. So I'm going to give this movie an entire universe. I'm going to give it an entire world. The world that it wishes to create, I am going to give it. But that is a world in which there is no Steve Buscemi, in which Steve Buscemi has never existed, in which none of his movies existed, in which the world has never even thought that Steve Buscemi could exist. They don't even know what they're missing.
Wow.
That is what I'm giving Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Wow. I can't really top that. I was going to say that I'd give it a Steve Buscemi from the Pixar Story, which is a documentary about various Pixar films, for a couple reasons. One, this just feels like it's a Zack Snyder film, first and foremost. It's not a new universe. It's just like another Zack Snyder film. But two, and one thing I forgot for us to chat about, you know who else is, of course, a credit in a Pixar Story? I don't know why you would know who I'm thinking of. George Lucas. And it made me think of it. So this is perhaps why this is getting this Steve's Buscemi. Is it made me think about how oftentimes with space operas, fantasies, you think of George Lucas and the world building he did for Star Wars versus what we're seeing in Rebel Moon, where the whole idea was like, oh, Zack Snyder's going to create his whole new, essentially Star Wars universe. And people always try to do that. People have tried to do a new Star Wars universe before. Like we have the Chronicles of Riddick, which this really felt like a Chronicles of Riddick-esque film. Absolutely. And the problem is when you try to make a Star Wars film, but you're like, I'm going to make it gritty and badass, it comes off as schlocky and silly. Like you can't like look at Warhammer 40,000 and be like, I want to put that into Star Wars and it's going to be badass. Like, it's always going to be silly because Warhammer 40,000 is inherently silly. It's like, look how ridiculous these space fascists are. And people who only look at like, oh, Space Marines look cool. That's like what you get when you have a film like this. So the way that George Lucas originally did world building versus, I mean, even the prequels, honestly, like did better with world building than this film.
I actually think the lore of the prequels is fine. That's not.
He tried to do something. Yeah.
And George Lucas is a lot like Superman, right? It's like he only works when he is like being almost pathetically sincere. Right? He is very earnest. He is not ironic at all. And he accidentally made something cool. Yes. Right? The Wachowskis. I think for a while, people thought of their career as, well, they were so cool when they made The Matrix, and then what happened? Because, like, Speed Racer isn't cool. And it's like, no, Speed Racer is who the Wachowskis were the entire time. They're nerds, right? And The Matrix is an incredibly lame idea of what cool is, but because it was like so sincere and it just hit at the right time for itself, it became cool accidentally. But like the Wachowskis weren't cool in any way. And like, what does cool mean? Cool is stupid, right? But like, but Zack Snyder is someone who is cool, quote unquote, right? And he wants his movies to be cool. He wants to make cool movies. And so they will always come across as like just these guys that like think they're badasses, you know? And there's nothing less badass than saying you're a badass.
Yes. Let's run that clip of the last line from the film again that the General Balisarius says. Oh, so bad.
Tell me, Commander, did you think that this would be good news? That my daughter Artheleus, one of the most dangerous and decorated warriors in the history of armed conflict, is now part of a blossoming insurgency? I'm supposed to be happy that she's joined forces with the genius, battlefield commander General Titus.
Yeah. Like, it's like literally like that might as well be every other line in this movie and in most Zack Snyder films, right? Like any time it's like, hey, we're looking for Titus. You mean Titus, the most feared, powerful, muscular, brilliant tactician general of all time? Aquaman,
you know that actor is
the master
almost
of the sea.
Yeah. Do you know that actor is almost 60 years old though? So like, props to him because that is.
He looks great.
Yeah.
He looks great and he should be given better roles.
Yes. So there we have it.
Yeah. Rebel Moon. Well, so before we adjourn the episode, this is going to be the final episode of season 3 of our podcast. We wanted to let you guys know we're taking a little bit of a hiatus, unclear exactly how long it'll be. It's just, you know, new semester starting, other kind of trying to figure out life and next steps in life kind of stuff going on.
I don't much care for Devin.
So we need a little bit of a break to focus on those things. Whenever that stuff's all resolved, we'll be back with season 4. In the meantime, if there's anything you want us to talk about in season 4, feel free to let us know. But just FYI, it's hard to say. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, it could be, you know, maybe we start back up in the summer, depending on there's some. I'll just say there's like some balls in the air that need to be settled right now.
Well, you know what we'll probably start up with.
What's that? Rebel Moon Part 2.
Rebel Moon Part 2. The Scar Giver.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah. Well, no, we're going to have to break the hiatus just to do the Snyder cut of Rebel Moon Part 1.
Oh, no.
So, when are they going to announce the Snyder cut of Rebel Moon Part 2, by the way?
I think it's implied at this point.
All right. Well, as always, thank you for listening. I'm Devin. He's Ethan. Catch us on Twitter at YourTallPod. I'm at Stale Cooper. Ethan's at Mathisippy, and you can email us at yourtallpod@gmail.com. And do while we're not giving you episodes, just give us 5-star ratings, write us reviews, think about how much you miss us, and we will be back soon.